The law in this state, in the words of Queensland Judge Fred Maguire, quote, has not abdicated its responsibility as guardian of the silent innocence of the unborn, end quote. I've held a baby born at 23 weeks at the Royal Brisbane and Women's Hospital, and there is nothing more innocent. If somebody attempted to assault that baby, I would have defended her. Yet there are calls for changes to our abortion law to allow babies even older than these preemies to be lethally assaulted, no questions asked. Victoria has had such a law since 2008, a barbaric law which judges a 23-week baby to be a child when sleeping in the hospital nursery, but mere human waste when in the womb, free to be killed for any or no reason. Leading human rights lawyer Frank Brennan called this Victorian legislation totalitarian, not only for allowing cruel late-term abortion on demand, but for its threat of prosecution for any doctor who conscientiously objects. Queensland law has always permitted abortion to preserve the mother's life. As Judge Maguire concluded in his 1986 ruling, such a law is, quote, a humane doctrine devised for humanitarian purposes, but it cannot be made the excuse for every inconvenient conception, end quote. Yet there are many voices demanding unrestricted abortion, even for inconvenient conception. For these people, it is as if there is no tiny beating heart already there at 5 weeks of pregnancy, which is stopped by the violence of abortion. The only crime, they say, is that of interfering with a woman's absolute right to decide if she's ready to be a mother. But a woman is already a mother, for better, for worse, when she is first with child. And there is no right to take a life which is not ours to take. Consenting adults who conceive have a duty of care to their baby which nothing can set aside. The law must uphold that duty and uphold the fundamental prohibition against intentional killing. Perhaps passing laws that deny the baby's existence is the only coping mechanism for a society that already takes the life of every 4th baby before birth. But it is a denial and delusion that is destroying us, turning us hard and cold where we should be most tender. The existing law in Queensland defends the silent innocence of the unborn and encourages us adults to find solutions to our sexual and social predicaments that do not involve killing our offspring. Thanks, James. In Queensland, the law still is that abortion is only to save a woman's life. Even though that's ignored, that is the law. It waves the flag for justice. And as Paul has pointed out, that's an almost unheard of scenario. There are a couple of rare medical conditions where you simply have to intervene to save the mother's life. But you see, that's ethically a different category because you are not intending to end the life of the baby at all. You are simply moving to save the mother's life. So it's not morally an act of intentional killing of the baby. So to save the mother's life is ethically uncomplicated. And then we have heroic people who still risk their lives to have their babies. So be it. That's their call. If I could just make 2 other clarifying distinctions before I come to that point. I like to distinguish between really 3 categories of abortion. There's what I mentioned in my talk, consenting adults who conceive have a duty of care. So consenting conception versus criminal conception, criminal acts of rape, incest, carnal knowledge of minors, which is rape. Now, under law, I don't see that society can stop victims of criminal consent from having an abortion, accepted under the doctrine of force majeure. That is, the law has to be set aside because of the extraordinary circumstances. I don't think the society's law can stand in the way of criminal conceptions leading to abortion. Then it's a matter of whether the individuals want to overcome the evil that was done to them by the good of giving life to this innocent baby, as many, even secular women, do. Remarkably, many of them will do that to overcome the violence that was done to them. Fascinating. But that's their call. The third category of abortion concerns the disabled babies. That's actually not abortion, that is euthanasia. That is prenatal euthanasia. You are taking the life of the baby because of quality of life and suffering issues. It happens to be in the womb, but it's actually euthanasia as a moral category. And that's useful to distinguish. And then the same issues arise, and believe me, this is a live issue, and I'm deeply involved in it. Do we apply the same principle to the unborn child and say an unborn child with a terminal condition like anencephaly or trisomy 18 should be cared for under the same principles of palliative care as any other child with a terminal condition like cancer? That's my position, and we can do it. And I think of my cousin's little baby with trisomy 18 was going to die in a few days, but they let her be born. They had her at home for 3 precious days. She was christened. She was given a name. She was loved. She was given a funeral. She was part of the family. She was humanized by that beautiful family. How much better for the mother to have the grief of a clean bereavement than the grief of a guilty, done-in-the-dark abortion? I just say psychologically, pastorally, there is wisdom in suggesting perhaps to couples that they see it through and go the innocent path. It's better for them, let alone for the whole cause of love. So that's the question between euthanasia, you do it in the dark and get rid of them, or you let them be born. That's the 3 categories. Consenting conceptions where they have a duty of care that nothing can shift. Criminal conceptions where the law can't stand in the way. Let's be there as an encouragement and a hope to these people. Third category of prenatal euthanasia. I've never seen a case of rape in 20 years as a GP. There's a few cases of Downs and so on. My little sister was told with her first baby, it's got Down syndrome and it'll be no better than a pet. She was an Anglican minister. She didn't want to hear this. She wasn't going to do anything to that baby. Now, my little nephew was born and he doesn't have Down syndrome. But the point is, the search and destroy mission is intensifying.